Let's go.
Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BETSPERTS.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Happy Monday, Andy. I'm sure you are feeling the pain of a party weekend. Looks like you got some sunshine. Nice work by you.
I caught a little base tan.
Sure, that's what we're going with. Okay.
Did you fall asleep by the pool belly, or did you pass out? Yes, it's back in sunny Minnesota.
That's one of my favorite quotes.
People often go to Boston to get extremely sunburned. That's that hot Boston Harbor.
You're
sun.
so close to the sun up there. Yeah,
it's closer to the sun. It's just ridiculous. I can't believe how burnt I got. But otherwise, no. It's
hey man,
very good.
Winter's over.
Back.
Summer's here. It's officially, we're into the month of May. We got some odds popping across the landscape for some NFL stuff. Hey, did you know NFL schedule drops this week?
It does. I'm excited to talk about that a little.
Yeah. Did you go through the leaks that I sent you already? We pretty much got the whole thing leaked.
Yeah. The thing is too, like, we know who everybody plays already. We've known for a while. This is just like, who has a really bad stretch.
Yeah.
Or who has a really easy stretch. We're not finding out a ton, this is, correct. When you're this old, you get 2 to 3 day hangovers if you just go have any amount of whiskey. I know how much to drink at home. All right, it's bedtime now. I've had 2. I'm going to bed.
All right. Well, it's been a wild day. Crypto market puked for a while. That was sucky. I've been working my ass off today, man. Did a show this morning. Did the NBC sports podcast that I'm doing now is going gangbusters. We're cranking out content there once a day. So check that out if you haven't already. Talked to Jeff Schwartz, Jeff with the G, this morning, and I'll tell you some funny stories after this is over. But he was fun. The player performance props, is really what I want to get into today, though. We'll keep it light. We'll keep it easy since you're nursing a hangover and a sunburn, and we'll talk. Talk a little bit of process, kind of come up with what the right frame of reference for evaluating all of this is, because you need a process. This isn't just like, well, I like that player, I like what team he landed with, fine, I'll bet him rookie of the year. Like, you need there's very specific formula to this. Anytime you're handicapping awards, you need to basically handicap the mind of the voter. That's an important process, and I would say that's what we kind of want to talk about today. Next week we'll have a schedule. We maybe can get into a little bit of preliminary thoughts about win totals, things like that. But for now, at least we know what players are on what teams. Let's talk a little award props. Sound good?
Yeah. Did you want to do some not only award props, but maybe some player performance props?
Yeah, for sure.
There's rookie numbers out on a lot of these. So
yeah, absolutely. I would like to.
Exciting times.
Absolutely, I'd like to. But let's start with the awards. I kind of want to talk a little MVP too, besides just rookie stuff today.
MVP, most ballingest player.
Do you want to do the MVP first or last?
I mean, we can. I certainly can get into those.
Let's do it last. Let's start with offensive rookie of the year. I will say, as you look back in time, this is one of the more difficult awards to handicap on the front end, because it's all about opportunity, really. And sitting here now in May and trying to speculate about opportunity for this year is not easy. Yeah. It's not easy. There are going to be injuries that influence this. There are going to be, certainly, of the three quarterbacks last year that came out, Burrow, Tua, and Herbert, I think Herbert was the longest odds of those three. And he ended up getting the most starts and played the most game, had the most opportunity.
And that's the thing.
Yeah,
like,
and he wins.
You had a guy who a lot of people were kind of panning that pick as a bust opportunity and kind of ragging on him for taking him there. And it took a needle to a lung.
I know. That's right. Shit, that's right.
Yeah, he wasn't. Who knows how long it would have been for him to play.
We might not have seen him.
Yeah, if the long history of the Chargers hiring people who do things like that hadn't happened, and we had a punctured lung by an injection, and boom, we have another starter in the league, and that is the toughest part because all right, Trevor, Trey, Justin, Mack, Zach Wilson, that has to be your A1 market, like that has to be your top tier. Because they're quarterbacks. Like I would say anybody who's not a quarterback is in the second tier. There's not a, Saquon Barkley in this class. There's not some running back that a coach is going to absolutely hammer on because of the management and like, hey, we took him here. You better run him. Like you could tell like he was going to get run into the ground no matter what. He was going to get a lot of opportunity. And just even the running backs who were taken high, you got one who was taken by the Steelers who have done nothing to improve a line that made good running backs look bad last year. And then, further down, you got Jacksonville who, if you think Trevor Lawrence is going to be bad enough to lose the Rookie of the Year title to a teammate, how is that offense going to be good enough for him to win anything? So, I'm almost throwing out running backs completely and looking at my second tier to maybe be, and this is tough, because it takes such a big year by a wide receiver, but like my second tier is probably wide receivers or maybe a really deep sleeper running back, and even these aren't huge numbers, but like somebody like Sermon or somebody, you'd have to look at some of the opportunities that some of the other running backs are going to get. If you're going to take a running back, I'd need a huge effing number. That's why I'd look for somebody down the board who might have an opportunity to play. So, that's kind of my process I ended up on. And just once I got there, I needed to start parsing out the quarterbacks.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Where do you sit? Where do you sit on the market in general?
I sit on it's a gamble. It's not a handicap.
That's the thing. Like you go look at these prices. There's no sense placing Trevor Lawrence plus 350.
Yeah, right.
Because I think him, maybe not Mac Jones. I really don't know if Mac Jones works out. Although this could be my Justin Herbert this year, where it's like, I don't like this guy. Watch him play really, really well. That's how I evaluate quarterbacks. But go take those five quarterbacks. Take skill aside. Take teammates out of the question. Coaching, management, offensive scheme, everything neutral, and just rank those five players from 1 to 5 in terms of how many reps you think they'll get this year, how many snaps under center they'll get, without any wild cards like injuries or all this.
Yeah.
Like, where do you and tell me why? Like, explain those 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah. This is a good game.
Yeah, give me a little reasoning on each as well.
Trevor Lawrence is taking 100% of snaps for the Jaguars, barring injury.
Agreed.
Trey Lance is taking
85.
I would have said his ceiling is 85, but that is optimistic potentially. It doesn't seem like the market for a Jimmy G trade is hot at all. And it doesn't seem likely that a guy that started 1 year of FCS is ready to go week 1, which means this is the Jimmy G show for probably weeks 1 through 4. At that point, you probably have a Tua Fitzmagic type of situation, even if Jimmy G is 4-0. If things are rolling smooth, rolling right along, San Francisco still may want to pull the trigger and put Lance in there because he has an added dimension. But I can also see, I guess Lance's ceiling, I would say, is 80% of the snaps, his floor is 0.
Yeah, there's a chance.
Yeah. And I think best estimate, if you made me make an estimate, I'm probably leaning a little towards 80. So maybe I'm like, my best estimate is about 60, 65% of snaps. You muted yourself.
I did. I had to cough really hard. Here is and I'm vaccinated. Here's a good comment from Sam Lipscomb. It says, "Gonna know better about the Lance chances when we see when San Francisco's bye is." That's interesting with some of these teams that might go, Dalton or Jimmy G for a little bit. If they do have like a week 5 bye or something, you could see a natural, fulcrum point to move to the rookie quarterback. If they have later buys, that wouldn't be, nearly as interesting to me. But yeah, something to look for in a couple of these teams. So, all right, we went T-Law, then Trey. That leaves Fields, Mack, and Zachy.
Yeah, so Zach Wilson takes 100% of the Jet snaps. That's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Again, barring injury. Justin Fields takes 90 on the high end.
I'd say 60 to 90.
60 at the low end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that the Bears roll Andy Dalton out there week 1.
It is the Bears.
It's the Bears. Fields ought to take 100, but it's probably gonna be like 90. And then Mac Jones is gonna take like 50. Is probably my best guess. Ceiling is maybe 75. Floor is 0. But yeah, the low floor for both Lance and Mac Jones has me out of those. Has me scratched. Crossing off those players.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I ended up when I finished this off, and I don't love this play. I don't think I'm going to get very involved in this market, but because of I'm sketched out by what's happening in Jacksonville, and the price sucked, so I scratched off Trevor.
You're sketched out about Jacksonville.
Yeah, some people might be sketched out about some moves they made down there.
Yeah, there's been a couple of real questionable ones.
Hiring that coach, bringing in Tebow, drafting the running back, it's tough. Like every guy has a knock. Trevor Lawrence's knock is the fact that Jacksonville might be a broken organization right from the get-go. It might be a bad move with Urban. It might not work. Trey's, obviously is super low floor for how much he could play. Same with Fields. I
don't know about Fields having a low floor. You really think that Andy Dalton could start more than half the games for the Bears?
No, I think maybe his knock is that Nagy was a flash in the pan in 2018, and we never see that kind of play calling in the Bears organization.
Yeah,
again.
We're just talking opportunity, though. I think his floor is not too bad.
And that's where I'm like the knock on every guy.
Okay.
Mac Jones, the knock is I wasn't really all that bought into the Patriots. The signings in the offseason. I still don't think this is going to be a good offense.
Yeah,
I'm not sold on that, especially the quarterback whisper or whatever. But I'm not sold on that one. And then Wilson is the team just might not be good enough to get him to 500. Like Wilson, I like the price. I like 10 to 1. But is there enough talent on that team to get him? Like, if Wilson has a really good year, but they win. They're like 4-13. Can you give it to him? He's making plays with his feet. He's bombing. He's using that big arm, making plays with his arm, and they just suck still. Like the defense just isn't there yet. They're not able to compete with good teams. They win 4, 5, 6 games. Can you give it to him? Let's say Fields is okay, much less in the stats, but the Bears are a 500 team, get the 7th spot. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And I do like the Jets draft. I like the Jets free agency, and maybe I'm just jilted by the Jets because the last time I saw them play football, they had, a dead duck, not even a lame duck, a dead duck coaching them, and really, it was just a really bad organization from head to toe. So, maybe the Jets do turn a corner. In a roundabout way, I'm saying I don't like this market, but I have to bet it 10-1 on Zach Wilson's my favorite quarterback play.
Okay. Yeah. Why do you think that price is so high? Actually, what's up with that?
I think
Doesn't
it's
really
just
make
the
sense.
Jets. Yeah, it should be lower. Like it should be. It's Mac. I think Mac and Wilson should be flipped.
Yeah,
Like
right.
Wilson
Yes.
should be 10.
Or Lance and Wilson. Yeah, I think fair price on Wilson should be kind of in the 5-1 range. Give him about 12% of the market, something like that.
Yeah.
Right. I'm okay giving Lawrence like 25% of the market, Wilson 12, Fields 10, and then Lance and Jones are just cross offs. Okay, so let's you were pretty quick to dismiss running backs. I get
Harris. Huge dismiss on Harris.
Just on the basis of you don't think he'll be able to produce enough offensive statistics to warrant consideration because the offensive line is going to be a hot busted mess.
It's going to be horrid, and I think we're going to see bad Ben again. We might see backup quarterback, which would be even worse. And there's a lot of mouths to feed there too. You're going to see a lot of snaps to wide receivers as well. He's going to get a split in carries, so I'm out on Harris at that price for sure.
Okay.
He's 10-1 at some places. That's ridiculous. I'm not a quarterback. I'm not taking a running back there.
Okay.
Etienne, 33-1. Again, I don't like that he's on the same team as
Robinson, who was great last year.
Yeah, that guy had like 1,400 yards from scrimmage. That feels like a full split.
That's a big investment getting a first round guy though. He's a boomer bust guy, which means he'll put up highlights. He'll probably, he could steal the job. Yeah, he could steal the job. He could. I mean, shoot. The coach obviously thought we need to invest first round talent in running back position, even though they had Robinson. I think. That
leaves you with Williams. That leaves you with Sermon. I'm sure there's others if you look.
Yeah. What is your feeling on Williams?
Make a case for a running back. Do you have one, or we just kind of?
Etienne is kind of the Zach Barkley of this class. Zach Barkley won.
He could be very good.
He beat. He beat both Lamar Jackson, who went undefeated till the very end of the season. He was like won 7 straight, took the Ravens to the playoffs. He beat Baker Mayfield, who played really well for like 10 weeks. I'm not sure exactly. I don't think he warranted it, but the voters thought, voters saw enough highlights of Zach Barkley hitting 60-yard runs and were like, oh, that was impressive. I guess I'll give him the award. I mean, Etienne has a little bit of that. Williams, Sermon are not going to get enough usage as far as I can tell you.
Sermon has a big number, but I need it a little bigger. I need like 50 or 60 because he needs, he needs a lot more carries. He'd have to steal the job. Just like we said with Etienne, he'd have to steal the job. He'd get the most of the carries, but I think he is in a better situation if he does that. If I had to take one of those two, because I mean, just look at what all those running backs in San Fran have done. When everybody go like Mostert and Breida and some of these other guys, like they're not scrap heap guys, but they're not things to get excited about. And it's like Jesus, it's like they're good all of a sudden. They're just busting runs. It's just a well schemed offense. So if he were able to steal the job, he'd be in contention. But boy, it's hard with 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah, that situation screams running back by committee to me. So I'm going to scratch that one.
Yep. If it were 60, 70, I'd think about it. But I'm seeing a 40. I can't get on board with that.
Yeah, and then I guess some people are high on Javonte Williams, although he's now sharing the backfield with the likes of Melvin Gordon, who they're paying a lot. I mean, actually, Melvin Gordon he's probably gonna be cut, right?
Could be.
So
I'd have to see his contract too.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at that because Williams at 30-ish to 1 is interesting. Okay, and then the wide receivers is is very tough to sustain production. You get a Justin Jefferson once every like 5 years, I feel like.
Yeah, he didn't, and he
And he
did
didn't
not win it.
And he didn't win it, even though he deserved
No,
it. Yeah, I thought his contributions to Minnesota's offense were better than Herbert's to the Chargers.
Yeah.
But
I think the last three were OBJ, Percy, Harvin, and Moss.
Yeah, wow.
Like, and those, they had freak seasons.
Okay,
and they didn't have to go up against, like, it's funny, Randy Moss won the Rookie of the Year with Peyton Manning in his class. Like, Peyton Manning threw like 30 interceptions. He wasn't good his first year.
Yeah, that's true.
And guys like
all the quarterbacks to be bad.
A guy like Elijah Moore, he's going to lose out opportunity to or voting block to Zach Wilson.
Yep.
Guy like Etienne is going to lose out voting block to Trevor Lawrence. So it's I completely see a couple of obvious scratches here.
This guy's reading my mind. If I had to take a receiver, if I did have to take a receiver, again, I wish the price were a little bigger, but just looking at them all, it would be a deep cut. Like, oh man, maybe Bateman or Marshall at like 40 or 50 if you can find them. But Waddle is in a good spot.
Just because Miami is, I guess I don't really know enough about what Miami's offense is going to look like. They fired their OC. Tua is limited, at least based on the very small sample we have of him as a pro. He has a couple of suspicious, tendencies. You think, I guess, Waddle still, their team is going to be high profile enough, presumably winning enough games that they may get some he may get a little bit of the, if he does well and Miami's winning, they give Waddle a little credit and he gets consideration. Is that where you're going with that?
Yeah. I mean, he'd have to have a breakout. And that's where I don't think 18-1 is enough for me. Okay. Maybe it is Bateman for me at 40 because, I mean, Bateman, his whole career has made an iffy throwing quarterback look really good. Like that guy just gets balls. He's much better than Tyler Johnson. Even when Tyler Johnson was on the team, he's a stud. He came out a little shorter. And then a couple of people are asking about Pitts.
Yeah. A lot of responsibilities. Yeah.
There's a lot of mouths to feed there.
A lot of mouths to feed there. You have another tight end in Hayden Hurst that you gave up draft capital for. He'll steal some reps. Some of the tight end responsibilities are a little complicated from a blocking standpoint. So he may, only, I guess, similar situation where I think ceiling for him is probably 75% of Falcons snaps.
Yeah.
And also, and in terms of off usage of the four receivers, he probably is getting somewhere in the 30% range tops in terms of targets, 30% of targets. What do you think of that?
Yeah. I mean, there's some if we don't see a trade for getting a receiver out of there, I don't love him at his number. Here's something from Femi, who Bateman will be in primetime quite a bit too. This is not, it's not like a super actionable angle, but it's definitely one of those little nudges where, hey, I like a guy, I like his number, and then you look, it's like, oh man, they have like 3 Sunday nights and a Monday night and a Thursday, and they play on Thanksgiving. Like, hey, that's definitely a little bump for somebody once we get schedules out.
I agree with you on that. In fact, I played Dobbins last year thinking that exact thing about the Ravens.
Yeah. And then Dan kind of took the opposite point here. He said if the Falcons keep Julio, defenses are probably still keying him in the red zone. Like, you can say, there's mouths to feed, but also it keeps some of the doubles off of Pitts.
I don't think the Falcons are moving Julio.
I don't think they can.
I don't either.
I just don't think they're going to get the offer they want.
Yeah.
Who does that leave us with? Did I make a small bet on Wilson and a little on Bateman?
Wilson and Bateman. Yeah. I think Wilson 10-1 is the right look. And I think Sam Darnold was also 10-1 his rookie year against Zach Barkley and Baker Mayfield and company.
And yeah, this is the thing too. Don't be afraid to add to these. Build a little portfolio. I bet Saquon after the season was over because I thought the number was bad at that point still. And I had other quarterbacks in my portfolio, and I essentially bet Saquon to break even, like just to get me out of those bets. I had to bet a lot because I had a few of them, but there was, there's times to add. I mean, we see this market fluctuate so much. If we never had the injury down in San Diego, and by that I mean Los Angeles, and obviously you don't have the injury to the knee up in Cincy, you probably had a different Rookie of the Year last year because Burrow wasn't winning games, but he was looking pretty good doing it. Like he could have won Rookie of the Year with like 3 wins just because he looked good enough and there wasn't anyone competing for it.
Yeah. A couple thoughts. That's an interesting one. I noted that, but I still think, you're going to have 80% of the meaningful targets are going to go to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce still. So that's not quite enough production likely. Similarly, great point by Patrick. And we should start every futures conversation with this point of view. Anytime you're betting into a futures market like this, the idea is if you're making a bet right now and you're locking up capital for 9 months, it better be because you're getting a price that you can only bet today.
And we've mentioned the schedule a couple times. People have brought up primetime games. People have brought up, just a few things that can happen. Like, I'm going to wait on Zach Wilson because what if his season starts at Buffalo and, and then like another tough defense? I'm not excited about 10-1 anymore because after maybe a couple rough games to start the season again, I think we're having an abbreviated preseason. If I'm not wrong, that is not going to help these rookies. We saw that last year as well. If we end up like at Buffalo and then I don't know what the rest
Miami,
of the
New England,
a couple tough
early.
defenses on the road or something, you probably get Zach Wilson 15-20-1 when he stumbles just trips over his dick out the gate. So I'm fine waiting on these till.
Ironically, Sam Darnold week 1 against the Lions on Monday Night Football put on just a spectacle. They were excellent. They were excellent against the Lions in that spot, and then it all went downhill.
and I think this was maybe what Drew was kind of going to allude to is
right.
Lance's number probably gets bigger because we do believe, and I think a lot of people believe Jimmy starts the season. His number is not going to get worse when he's not playing. So one of the other quarterbacks will have a good week or two. That number will get steamed up, and you'll get a bit. So I think if you want Lance, you wait.
Timing your entry is everything.
Let's wait a couple days. Look at the schedules as well.
Worst case scenario, Jets start out the season on the road at Miami, on the road at Tampa. Then Zach Wilson is a bet on then. You're going to get a lot better number than 10-1.
Yep.
I can tell you. Similarly, if they start the season soft and you get to take on the Falcons and the Jaguars in back-to-back and the Texans in weeks 1, 2, 3. Maybe it's time to bet Wilson right now because he's going to, and honestly, in any futures market, again, you want timing your market entry is hugely important. You want to bet a price that is only going to move one way. And you want to fill out a portfolio so that you're kind of covering what the realistic possible outcomes are, and have more than one, potential winner when it's all said and done, because it is, it's a dynamic marketplace. Timing. If you're betting into Wilson pretty heavily because they have a nice soft start to their season and he's one of the only quarterbacks that we can say with high degree of confidence is going to start week 1, then just be able to prepare your timing to enter on a Lance, on a Fields, etc. If the opportunity presents itself, because I agree if Fields or Lance starts 75% of the games for their respective teams and they win double-digit wins, then statistics aside, they will be your proverbial rookie of the year choice.
If a rookie and it's easier now with the 7 seed, if a rookie makes the playoffs, and obviously the Niners and Bears are middle of the pack teams at worst in the Niners case. I think the Bears are middle of the pack no matter what happens to them. I don't think they could win more than 9 games or lose more than 9 games. Honestly, that's just kind of where they are. They've got Jeff Fisher virus. They'll be stuck there. So those kind of teams can end up in the playoffs. Making the playoffs is a huge narrative. Like leading his team to the postseason as a rookie.
Oh yeah, if you're a voter, you have
hear the NFL music.
You have all the cover in the world. That guy took his team to the playoffs. So easy choice. I don't care what the statistics were close across all these guys. Like that guy went to the playoffs. Like it's over. That's going to potentially hurt the Wilson candidacy. Surely. Because if Joe Burrow had taken the Bengals to the playoffs last year, it wouldn't have mattered that Justin Herbert set a bunch of statistical records. They would have given it to Burrow.
Especially, and that's the thing too, the narrative of who'd they go for coach of the year last year? I'm trying to remember.
It was not Tomlin. It was not McDermott.
No, I think it was the Browns, right?
It was, right?
Because that's another thing. You get the narrative, like you brought up Cincinnati. Yeah, I couldn't think of Stefanski's name. Thanks, Patrick. You get the narrative of Cincinnati. They haven't been good in many, many, many years. And that's the thing too. Like the Browns hadn't been to the playoffs, they haven't won a division in 1,000 years. Like getting a team over that hump is such a big narrative. So if one of these quarterbacks on a bad team can bring somebody to the playoffs again, and maybe, the Jacksonville, they were just there a few years ago. It's not as big, but yeah. I think that's a big thing to look for in the narrative land.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's flip flop.
Yeah, it looks like the chat is agreeing. We have consensus on Stefanski.
Yeah. Let's flip flop to defensive rookie of the year because this is a lot less about opportunity. Moved. They did.
Jamin Davis. Wow. Jamin Davis is your favorite. It was Micah Parsons when he spoke last.
Oh my goodness, we missed our opportunity to really hammer this. Where is Parsons even? Oh, he's number 2 now, 5-1. Yep. Interesting. All right. Well, let's talk about defensive rookie of the year because where offensive rookie of the year is all about opportunity, defensive rookie of the year is more about production. And we kind of have a good sense of who is going to be able to produce. And in my opinion, I am completely throwing out cornerbacks, secondary players, throw them all out. And I say that for 2 reasons. Number one, it is increasingly difficult for a first-year cornerback to make an impact on a defense. Even the best cornerback prospects coming into a good defense take a little bit of time to fully get up to speed in terms of what the roles and responsibilities are. On top of that, if you're counting on a guy getting 4 or 5 interceptions, like that's a tall ask. You had just pretty unbelievable play from a guy like Winfield last year. He wasn't ever coming close to winning that award over the likes of Chase Young. It just wasn't going to happen. He would have needed 10 picks probably to get over that.
Yeah, maybe he needed to return some punts as well. Like put him back there, a couple scores. It's so tough. And we saw a guy drafted in the top 5 absolutely struggle at corner last year. Like he got thrown in a tough situation because right off the bat they lost a couple starters. There were some injuries. He had to play a much more prominent role, but he was not ready. He did not look good. Detroit isn't a great place to thrive, but it's still, a guy that somebody who's willing to spend top 5 capital on. If that's the best you can get, you're just you're not getting it out of these guys.
So here's my next
especially where they landed. Like those are not going to be good defenses around them.
No, that's exactly correct. So let's throw out all the cornerbacks. Step 1. You're okay with that? There's no one that really wait, you were missing something. This is the perfect guy in the perfect spot, right? There's none of that, right?
There's a safety at 25-1. What are we doing?
Not happening, guys. So then we're left with linebackers and linemen. This was a weak lineman class, particularly defensive tackles.
Yeah.
It's not going to go to a defensive tackle anyway, because unless it's like the second coming of Aaron Donald, but that's not in this class for sure. So we're talking about edge rushers, guys that are going to get the forced fumbles, the sacks, the pressures, counting stats from a pass. So knockdowns. So counting stats in the pass rush department is you're more likely award winner than your linebacker. Only if no one distinguishes themselves among the pass rushers will they then default to, okay, well, what linebacker had the most tackles? That's the guy. Like, that's kind of I think the hierarchy of how this award is voted on. Was there an impressive edge rusher that got a lot of counting stats? No. Okay, then give it to the top linebacker. So I'm going to prioritize edge rushers still, even though this was a weak class. The other thing that I think does matter, and the reason that Chase Young was such an absolute slam dunk, no doubt, handicap lock of the preseason last year, was because he was going to end up on a surprisingly good defense. You looked at how good and how talented that D line was,
it was,
and you're
already
like,
good.
Okay, he's good. That's he's good. We know that he's on a defensive line that is a lot of good players, and the defense is going to be surprisingly good against a soft schedule. Like, it was just perfect. Boom, 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 and it all worked out, extremely well, I thought.
And again, they made the playoffs.
Yes.
Right. that didn't hurt. The fact that the team played well, they had a good story in Alex Smith. It was a fun team to follow. And it's funny, edge was not even a need for them when they drafted. Like, they had a good offensive or defensive line, but how do you pass on a guy like that who's going to make a difference? And I believe it was, I'm trying to think if it was Dr. Eric who brought up the how defenders have to start out in the league, and cornerbacks, linebackers, especially a Mike linebacker, basically every other position is so reactive to what's happening from the offensive game plan, the scheme, the play calling. Whereas an edge rusher, you put him out there on third down, he's basically just, the only thing you can do is not get absolutely crushed by like a screen pass and over pursue. Like, basically go kill the guy with the ball, where you're not reactive at all. You're just going out there and doing what God built you to do, and that's to crush a left tackle, throw him down, and destroy the guy with the ball, because they don't let you do it in practice. They got the red jersey on. So that, the fact that they aren't as reactive, it's not as a big of a jump from league to league. Obviously there's better left tackles. There's better right tackles. There's better everybody. There's better chipping tight ends. There's better running backs coming out and hitting you. But still, the guys who are truly good, like our guy Chase, will separate themselves. They'll get, the counting stats are so big because people that vote on this are not looking at the advanced stuff. They're not looking at what did PFF rate him this week?
What was his PFF grade? No one's doing it that way.
It doesn't matter if it fell into his arms by accident.
It probably will read PFF.
He had a sack and a half
piece on it.
Yeah, he had a sack and a half. It doesn't matter if they weren't good sacks.
Yeah, right. Okay. So in that spirit, then, if we want to make a list and we want to say, okay, give me an edge guy who's gonna, he's gonna be on the field for a majority of the defensive snaps, and he's gonna be on a defense that's perceived as good, and he's gonna get opportunity. Mm-hmm. Okay. There are a couple of guys that stand out in that mold. Okay. Anyone you see right off the bat?
So it sucks that his number moved, but yeah, I mean, Jamin Davis. That was he's
a linebacker though.
I know, but
he's gonna be a tackling guy.
He's going to be the guy that has 100 however many tackles. Like, he's gonna have a lot of tackles. He's gonna have a lot of playing time, and he's gonna be on a good defense, and there's gonna be that narrative like that's a stingy ass defense, and he's a part of that.
I don't know. I still want to rule out the guys who are going to get the sack counting stats.
All right.
So Jalen Phillips is now 750. That's come in.
He's a linebacker, kind of, but he's going to be an edge guy. He's going to come in and he's going to pass rush. So his number's a little lower. What do you think of the Miami? What do you think of the Miami defense?
Regression candidates?
A little bit, but it's still not going to be a bad defense. Or
No.
Can we get on board with that?
Really solid personnel. 2 outstanding cornerbacks, and that matters. Like, if Byron Jones and Xavier Howard are playing lockdown, cover, then that gives your guy time to get home, right? I think the big regression for Miami isn't as a defense is just going to be takeaways. Like, they were impossibly good at taking the ball away last year. I think those numbers come back down to earth rapidly. But they still, they don't have an especially tough schedule. And I can see this being, they have a great coach in Brian Flores, defensive mind. I really like his scheme. His process is solid, in my opinion. I think that Miami finishes with the top 10 defense, just in terms of efficiency stats.
Yeah, floor is middle of the pack. Like, if it's bad, it's not getting worse than like 15th.
Yeah, and I don't know who else on this roster is really going to be getting the counting stats, like the sacks.
That's fair.
So there's opportunity to be that guy if he is good. Now, health red flag. Does he play the full season? That's a tougher question.
Yeah, it's hard to predict that sort of stuff.
At 750, still probably a guy that I'm going to have some part of.
He will be in my portfolio.
Yes. Moving down to another pass rusher.
Here, Patrick says this: coverage sacks. They have pass rush and corners, coverage units, whatever you want to call it. They do work hand in hand. If you can get a good pass rush, it's going to help the corners. You get a good cornerback, it's going to help the pass rushers. So I like him. I kind of passed on a few other guys. What do we think?
I passed on. Let's single them out. Pass and quitty pay.
I did. The only reason I don't think his price is big enough for where he's at. Plus his pluses are getting to pass rush on carpet, where you can be very fast. Okay. That does help. And he chose number 51, which is just a badass defensive number. That is a number with a lot of but
that's a plus, yeah.
At the price where he's at on that depth chart, and where that defense is at, I don't think. I mean, it's going to be a decent line. Buckner, and I'm trying to think of the other D end. I don't think the other D end is very good. Tyquan Lewis, like it's an okay defense, I guess. You got a really good linebacker. We'll see where, what's his the guy with the goofy ass name, Rocky Sin. See how and Xavier Rhodes, if those defensive backs can pick it up a little, it'll be a good defense, but I'm not super excited about him.
You know what?
His price. He's 10-1. I don't like the price. I want 15 on him.
I just want to circle back. I am actually gonna skip Jalen Phillips.
At just price?
And they're gonna go 3-4 a lot. And in the 3-4 under the Belichick system, your D end does not get a lot of glory. In fact, he's asked to basically just eat 2 bodies, and then you let the linebackers do a lot of the work. Like, that's how a guy like Andrew Van Ginkel is a household name.
Are we doing the Van Ginkel thing again?
No, but like Christian Wilkins had a great year last year, but he was largely unrecognized because he just wasn't asked to. He just wasn't really. His role was not to go get stats.
Crossing Zaven Collins off. He's a linebacker on a bad defense.
Yes, same.
It's a bad defense. It will not be any better. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is interesting. My initial thought on him was, if you're not the best edge rusher on your team, does that hurt you?
Yeah. But
it's still going to be a sick ass defense.
Yeah. Are you even going to get cleanup scraps off of Myles Garrett though?
Yeah, that's where I'm wondering. Like, if you're clearly, if your ceiling clearly still has you as the second best edge rusher, and maybe the third best defensive lineman, am I betting you at 14-1? It's a really good defense though. So I'm a little scared of him. That takes me down to Rousseau.
Okay.
I'd like to hear. I know you have thoughts on him. Hit me with it.
Well, I have no idea if he's a good player or not. But I do know that the Bills defense has a lot of opportunity to improve on last year. They were bad relative to what we expected. They were a surprise, an underwhelming surprise, and they have a pass rush problem. So if Rousseau does anything, that's probably a hugely positive impact for the team. And has potential to kind of be the guy that gets sacks that others are not getting. Ed Oliver has been a bust so far. He needs to step up big time. Jerry Hughes was a reach, and they traded.
And that's the thing. There's a decent chance Rousseau starts over Hughes. I think he could be the starter. He has a good, rookie mini camp. He has a good preseason. He might be the starter. He might getting a lot of playing time and a very good defense who have Milano, Edmonds, very good linebackers, obviously really good corners. So if he clicks and he gets a lot of playing time, he gets a lot of third down, go kill Zach Wilson kind of stuff, I'm okay with him just because it is a bigger price on a good defense. Like if you had, so they're 14 and 18-1 where I'm looking. And yes, I mean, Patrick keeps bringing this up. There's a ton of price differences. This is the kind of market you really need to shop around. It's not like, hey, you might find minus 105 compared to minus 110 somewhere. There's going to be one of these 14-1, so it's like 23-1 somewhere else. Like there's massive differences in the markets if you shop. But if you had to go two guys that are going to be on two good defenses, I think I'd take Rousseau. Bigger price and more opportunity.
Okay. The next guy is the guy that I'm interested in at 20-1.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, Jason Owe. Now,
another good defense.
Another very good defense in the Baltimore Ravens. And he has a pretty spectacular physical, he's an impressive physical specimen. His measurables are outrageous. He hasn't really produced at the college level, which is somewhat concerning. But this Ravens defense just recycled their pass rush entirely. They let their top two guys go. Judon's gone. Yannick Ngakoue is gone, which means there's going to be, he's going to have lots of opportunity here. Right now on the depth chart, they're putting him at Sam. I don't know why. He's almost certainly going to be in the rushing role. But to me at least, you have two really, you have a solid interior of that defense with Derek Wolfe, Brandon Williams, Calais Campbell. There's going to be scraps to pick up from the pass rushing standpoint. Tyus Bowser, who they brought back, is pretty solid in that department. But I think Jason Owe is going to be able to clean up.
And I do need to correct you a little there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Huge gaffe on your part.
Oh, go ahead.
In the spirit of Tyrod Taylor and Giancarlo Stanton, he has decided to be known as Odafe Owa.
Oh, really?
Jason is his middle name.
Oh,
he is
okay.
of Nigeria. I don't know if we're not breaking this because I just read it somewhere.
Oh, okay.
But he is of Nigerian descent. He went by his middle name for ease of use during his career. But now that he's professional, he will be Odafe. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that.
Odafe Owa.
Okay. We're on board with the name change.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, he's 20-1. I'm mostly on board with 20-1.
I still think he was just trolling us, the Tyrod thing.
Possible, but it's possible.
How about Aziz?
But yeah, I think Owe at 20-1 interests me just because of the potential of actually doing something in a good defense in the same sort of spirit that we had Chase Young last year. Although Owe obviously not the same quality of pass rush that we know.
No, I think in terms of need of help at the pass rush, the edge rush, it goes in reverse order. Is Baltimore needed the most help, Buffalo maybe next, and then Cleveland the least. And out of those three, the prices are reversed. So I will go with the team that needs the most help, that's going to get a bunch of opportunity with a player I do like. So I agree with you on that.
Okay. Somebody had previously, I think it might have been Femi, who brought up Asante Samuel Jr. As the cornerback that I may have overlooked in the Brandon. What's the Chargers coach's name? Brandon something? Yeah.
Sam says, can't wait for my bookie to not pay my Jason Owe bet because Odafe won it. If they do that, I will drive to that bookie's house.
Brandon Staley's defense. And I guess I would just counter with the guys in Brandon Staley's defense who were amazing last year outside of Jalen Ramsey. Like, can you name them? Like, they just, for whatever, like, you know, they do their jobs. They do it spectacularly. Samuel Jr. fits exactly into that mold. He's going to be a great addition to that roster. He's going to have a solid career for them, but I don't know that he's going to have enough of an impact to that people recognize him for the likes of an award like this. But that's just my opinion. I'm okay skipping Jamin Davis at 4-1. I'm skipping Micah Parsons at 5-1. Yes. Let's do a little quick sidebar on the Cowboys. This Cowboys defense is going to be bad, and they're bad in a really funny way. They saw themselves get brutalized in the running game last year, particularly down the stretch, and so they went heavy duty into let's draft defenders that can help us stop the run. But they have massive redundancy there now, and I don't even know that that's really going to work all that well. But they are going to have a very tough time stopping the pass. Teams are going to be able to pass to get the lead on them often, and then it's going to be entirely up to the offense to play catch up. They're going to have to score 40 points a game to win, and I don't think this defense is going to be regarded as good no matter how you want to slice it. They may get enough stops in the running game in second halves to give their offense chances to come back. That's not crazy. But I certainly don't. And in that vein, you know, they may rack up tackles. Like Micah Parsons may get 100 tackles next year. I wouldn't be shocked. But I don't know that he's getting an award regardless, even with the spotlight of Dallas, even with the potential to, you know, be on the field a lot, tackling running backs as teams are trying to grind out the clock. I still think the defense is going to be poor enough, and I think you're going to share. There's a pretty decent amount of sharing across the likes of Van Der Esch and Jalen Smith that you're not necessarily going to get all. You know, you're not going to be the leading tackler on the team possibly. So I don't know.
And I feel like they drafted a couple rookies. Like, didn't Cox go there too?
Yeah, they're redundant in their approach to stopping the run. They actually drafted like all defense. I felt like, but yeah, my only deep cut would be Peyton Turner. Once I find out a little more about if he's going to get a bunch of playing time. Saints edge rusher. Okay,
he's a big number. I don't hate that. Again, I was kind of joking, but again, it is a tiny little help to be pass rushing on the turf. It's easier. You can get your speeder on the edge, and I like the coaching down there. I've always enjoyed the coaching in New Orleans outside of 1 year back in 2009 when they were kind of naughty. And yeah, this thing too, like if somebody says I have Jamin 11-1, that's bettable. Like, I'd bet Jamin at 11-1. I'm not betting him at 4-1.
Yeah, that's nice, actually.
And then, the Saints are a bit of an enigma to me right now, but we'll find out if I might take a little on him. I didn't watch a lot of Houston games.
The one thing about Washington,
caught some highlights. I like him though.
The one thing about Washington football team is they're still susceptible through the air. Teams might just pass on them. Like, Jamin Davis might not get the tackles you're thinking because they're constantly throwing the ball 10 yards down the field against the Washington football team. And when they don't complete a pass, it's probably because there was a sack. So Davis, he may get choked a little in terms of his ability to rack up stats. But I really don't love any of these linebackers, to be honest with you. I do think Owe is a fair play at 20-1. I'm going to swerve Rousseau. I hope if you're going to bet him at 18-1, I'll cheer for you if he ends up having a decent season. But I'm a little skeptical of his talent. And then that was an interesting call too on Jeremiah Owusu-Komora. Look for the best number on that one and give that a serious thought. So right now, Jason Owe at 20-1, the only one I would actually bet this moment. Excuse me. Odafe Owe.
I probably will put a little tickle on the kid from Houston down at the bottom of especially if I can find. I don't even have more than one book open right now. I'm not price shopping this at all. I'm enjoying all the comments from people that are telling me all the better prices and where they're at. That helps. That'll make my life easier when I get around to that. But yeah, there's a couple I don't hate. Should we do a few minutes on MVP before we kick it then?
Let's do it.
Can I kick it? Yes, you can.
MVP is wild.
We've got the man, the myth, the legend, Patrick Mahomes, plus 450, which seems I wish it were bigger, I guess. You got a man who, without a team, second in Aaron Rodgers. Josh Allen, who turned a corner. The deep dive apologizes for everything we've ever said about him. So I do really believe he put in the time, the work, and he turned the corner. A guy who is coming off a horrific injury in Dak at 14-1. Stafford at 14-1 in a new spot. The old man who just won't die, Tom Brady at 14-1. And then your next one is Justin Herbert.
Wow.
Which is nuts. Herbert, Kyler, Lamar are all ahead of Russell Wilson. They're all ahead of Baker Mayfield. They're all ahead of Deshaun Watson, who could end up, being on a different team at this point yet. I couldn't bet Kyler Murray at 16-1 with my worst enemy's money.
Same.
What the fuck is that?
I mean, Herbert 16-1 is equally.
No, I mean Herbert. That could be a good team, but yeah, that's unbettable.
A good team, but not good enough to win.
The Kyler number is offensive to me. I'm sorry. I would bet Stafford before I bet him at 14.
Yeah. Okay.
If you made me, held a gun to me and said you have to bet one, I would do it. I'd bet Kirk Cousins at 66 before I bet any of those.
Wow.
I wouldn't bet McCaffrey at 50, it looks like. A couple more notables. Cam, 50. Why would you bet a guy that's going to play half the year? Jalen Hurts at 50-1. Why would you bet on the Eagle? Justin Fields.
If you gave me a risk,
please don't bet on rookies.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys you can cross off here. Like fair price for Derek Carr MVP, it's listed at 50-1. The fair price for that is did you say $1 trillion?
Yeah.
To 1? I was gonna go $1 billion, but yeah,
I was gonna say a Brazilian to 1.
Brazilian to 1.
You give me. I would bet Teddy Bridgewater before I bet Carr in that offense. What is Derek Carr? What is he doing up there by Jameson? I don't even know if I want to talk about these this night. I'm upset. I'm actually a little heated right now. Yeah, down the board there are some guys like what if Pitts works and the new coaching works? Somebody just brought this up. A guy who has won an MVP before in Matt Ryan at a big number with 3 stud receivers. Yeah, I think everybody's kind of agreeing. Brian, I'll give Brian credit. He brought it up first. 75-1. Patrick says it's not insane, and Femi said, "Whoa,
it's really not insane."
Juicy number. That for a deep cut, that's not bad. He's had an MVP season. He won an MVP. That's a
that always helps. That always helps. I can tell you the fact that you were upgrading from a Dirk Cutter offense to an Art Smith offense is a leap. It's a leap in terms of quality of the guy that's setting up your offense. I would also say, I guess just kind of going for that, Pat Mahomes is going to get bet. Find the best price, lock it up. It'll get shorter. That's only going one way. I mean, maybe we want to see Kansas City's schedule and just make sure that they're not starting out with their 3 hardest games or something. But Kansas City is going to be in the mix. They're going to win a lot of games. And that's really what the MVP comes down to. We didn't really lay out the rules, but real quick, only bet quarterbacks. Only bet a team that you think can win double-digit games.
Probably playoffs.
and
double digits equal playoffs now.
Yeah, double digit games. Realistically, they got to win their division. Realistically, they got to be a 1 or 2 seed, but you can't say only those teams. Which is why a guy like Herbert can't win. I don't see the Chargers beating the Broncos and the Chiefs to win the AFC West. So even if he has an amazing statistical season, I don't think the Chargers win enough games to get him consideration over like Mahomes. I would say Aaron Rodgers, unbettable at 10-1. What's your price on him?
I mean, he's going to retire. That'll be a funny ticket to have. Yeah, and Dan here, Dan's an Atlanta fan. Like, they are going to have a very bad defense. Like that almost works for me. You're almost talking me into this.
Yeah,
he's going to have to throw for like 5,500 yards for them to be good.
And he might do that in his sleep with the wide receiver core.
50 touchdowns, 36 interceptions.
Matt Ryan's not a pick guy. Neither was Tannehill wasn't a pick guy in the
How many picks did Matt Ryan throw last year?
I'm gonna guess 18.
It was only 11.
Oh, really? The way you said it made me think it was a big number. So
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch enough. Sam has figured out that we will put his stuff on screen if he says it 3 times, like Beetlejuice, Baker.
33-1.
I don't like him as a quarterback. I don't think he's a good quarterback. I think he's not a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback. But God damn it, that team might win the Super Bowl.
Oh, well, let's take a step back. They need to make some steps forward before you leap them to Super Bowl. But
no, it's the AFC is ridiculous.
If they get the 1 seed, right? If the Browns get the 1 seed, then Baker's going to be in consideration. If the Rams get the 1 seed, Stafford is going to be in consideration. Absolutely. That I think if the Bills get the 1 seed, Josh Allen's going to be in consideration. Dak Prescott at 14-1 is bananas. No way Dallas is in the mix for
big fat
a double-digit win season, in my opinion. But he's going to put up great statistical numbers. If you want to bet Dak Prescott, don't worry about the MVP market. Go find his yardage, touchdowns, whatever, and nuke the overs there. Because if he's healthy for a full season, he's going to put up volume that's going to blow minds. Tom Brady, probably not going to be in consideration just because I don't think you're going to see a spectacular enough regular season from him, even if Tampa Bay is in the 1 or 2 seed. Is that crazy?
No. I mean, look how good that team was. He wasn't really ever in consideration. It was a team effort.
Yeah.
Very good defense, well coached, just good all around team. His number's a bit short. I'd cross that off. Herbert off just because. Yeah. Especially if Denver ends up getting like a Watson or a Rodgers, he's super effed.
Yeah,
and 16-1's just not enough. Murray is
insane. Hilarious.
I'm going to turn into the Hulk at this point. God,
I'm not doing Lamar at 18-1 when you have
a Lamar
Baker
guy.
at 33.
I'm a Lamar guy. I just can't get with that number.
No.
I like some of the additions. Like again, I think Bateman can bail him out a bunch. I think they've made some improvements. But not at 18-1. I'd need a bigger number than that.
Yeah.
Wilson, 18-20. I hate the coaching staff. I hate their process. I hate their roster building. I hate the team. I hate the city. I hate the dump space. I'm just kidding. I had a great time in Seattle. I tried to go to the Space Needle. Couldn't find a parking spot within 10 blocks of the damn thing. Finally, we just parked and said, fuck it, we'll walk. There was a pride parade going on right past it. Like, that's why. We'd always luck ourselves into a parade somehow.
Classic.
But, classic Seattle. So the coaching staff I still do hate. Real quick,
I had a hot take.
Your thoughts on give me a hot.
I got a hot take for you. Seattle should have sold the top on Russell Wilson.
Yeah, they could have got
this offseason. This offseason, they could have sold the top on Russell Wilson. And this was a decent deep quarterback draft. I think they could have gotten a guy that could do a damn decent Russell Wilson impression, and he's in Chicago now. Yeah, Russell.
Remember the Bears out there getting him? Every
Yeah.
Bears fan was giddy for like a week. And then
Hey, you got but you got a Russell Wilson impersonator at a cost control contract for the next 5 years.
Yeah, I think they might have done better. Yeah.
So you may have won the end. It may get the last laugh there, Bears fans. But no, I don't want to be a doubter of what Russell Wilson, but like the way that his play dropped off over the last half of last season was concerning. It had something to do with the vision that Pete Carroll had for this offense and how he was changing what Schottenheimer was doing over the first 8 games. It was a little bit of like the coach made it so. But I think we might have seen the best Russell Wilson's going to play in the NFL already.
The best that you can do. Yeah. I'd rather have Baker.
I hope I'm wrong. I like watching Russell Wilson play.
Baker in a forward-thinking offense over Russell Wilson. Not only a forward-thinking offense, but a better roster, a better defense, a better coach, and he's getting OBJ back. So Baker at 33 is probably a play for me for a small stake. Burrow, I don't think. Yeah, they don't have the roster yet. They definitely don't have the line. I'm excited for the connection to be there again between Joe and his guy, but that offense isn't going to be enough. Matt Ryan's only 33-1 where I'm looking. I'd like to know what 75 was.
Yeah, we'll track down that 75.
I'll have to track that down. Honestly, there's a few numbers.
I think the chances
I might even still think about
the chances that the Falcons get a top 2 seed in the NFC are way higher than the chances that anyone in the AFC not named Buffalo, Cleveland, Baltimore, or Kansas City gets a top 2 seed, right?
Yeah, the NFC is wide open. That's
wide open, right? And so I think it's still a small probability that Atlanta surprises to the tune of 13 wins this year. But I think just if you're going to take some long shots, if you're taking some chances, I think we're talking ourselves into some NFC team being a lot better than we think.
Yep.
And yeah, that includes the likes of a Matt Ryan. A couple of other in that same vein, scratching Wentz, scratching Watson, scratching Tannehill, scratching Newton. These are hilariously bad numbers. McCaffrey 50-1. That's hilariously bad. Carr, hilariously bad. Henry 50-1, hilariously bad. Jalen Hurts 50-1 is hilariously bad. James Winston 50-1. Get the hell out of here.
Jalen Hurts was like 80-1 to win Rookie of the Year. You're gonna make him 50-1 MVP after starting like a game. What did he prove?
What am I looking at here? What are these odds?
They can't.
Dude, Sam's scooping me. I was getting down to Fitzpatrick, the other potential wild card here. 100-1 for Ryan Fitzmagic. Fitzmagic potentially
maybe the best team in the division again.
Maybe the best team in the division again. If they can win 12 games, if Fitzpatrick gives a giant middle finger to the league for kicking him around to 25 different teams with the talent that they have on that offense in the receiving core, Terry McLaurin takes a step forward to bona fide wide receiver 1, like top 10 guy in the league.
I'm betting it right now.
Yeah, I can see it, man. Fitzpatrick might also absolutely suck this year.
Yeah, he might not. He might start like 3 games.
Who the hell knows? But at 100-1, and it's in the same spirit as Matt Ryan 75-1.
I just hit
wild numbers.
I hit risk max limit because I figured it'd be like $50.
Is it 25?
Let you put 500 on this if you want to.
Oh, really?
We're not doing that.
You might have. Oh, you got like the magic account here.
This is a different account.
Oh, dude.
This one we haven't used this much.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, see, it'll be. Tell me if you can bet that much on this.
I can't.
Later.
No, I can't.
To win 50K, that's
a big number.
You don't want this smoke there, but I'm about to put him on business with Fitzpatrick.
Yeah,
it doesn't take a Harvard education to know there's a little value at 100.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Real quick, the question from Brian. If you still have a Raiders under 8, yeah, I would play the piss out of that.
It's a nice look, man. All right, well, let's wrap it up. Good times. It's kind of a live breakdown of some of these awards markets. These are fun. I can't.
I didn't have anybody else deep. Like, the other deep numbers are Daniel Jones, Goff, Garoppolo, guys we don't think are going to play well or play the whole season at quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater, 150 to 1, just doesn't have the skill set. So,
yeah. I mean, Fitzpatrick is the same price as Dalvin Cook and Travis Kelce. Like, what the hell? Zach Wilson is shorter. Trey Lance is shorter. Trevor Lawrence is shorter. Oh my God!
Might have to put $100 on him just to
have that fun sweat.
Just to have that ticket.
Yeah.
Like for when he plays well for the first 6 weeks, he's down to like 18 to 1, and you can laugh a little before he eventually loses his job.
Yep. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Good job. Get some aloe on that sunburn and turn it into a golden tan. And you got some sun, buddy. My goodness. Look at you. All right. Well, I'll catch you later. Enjoy.
Thanks, guys.
Enjoy your start to the weekend. We'll have a fun. We're gonna do a deep dive into the state of the industry, the state of sports betting content, talk through some of the outrageous deals that have been flying around the space, some of the incredulous hires that have been going on lately. We'll get into all that and more with our good friend Captain Jack Andrews on Wednesday as we chronicle the 3rd anniversary of the repeal of PASPA. I think this is the 3rd, right?
PASPAversary.
PASPAversary, 3rd one. So 3 years into the space. Is this where we thought we would be? It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. So, Captain, he's giving me the questionable eye. I'm pretty sure I cleared that with him. I thought maybe he doesn't want to talk about some of that.
Yeah, maybe whatever he wants to talk about. He's more up on the news than we are. He'll have some interesting stories.
Yeah. New York is New York actually going to have mobile betting? California,
we'll have to
Florida,
ask him about
closer?
His bet, whatever the conference or the. What is it, like some sort of conference? I think he's like the headliner.
I saw that. That looked
we'll have to ask about that. Some of the new news some of the new stuff that's coming out, and for sure, happy PASPAversary early. We'll talk to him and you guys Wednesday.
Yeah.
If you have any thoughts on any of these, if you're listening to this in the podcast or watching this not live, if you have any thoughts on any of these awards, hit us up on Twitter or something.
Yep.
I love hearing your thoughts, and I know not everybody can watch it live and chime in.
Yeah, this is group effort, guys. Thank you. All right, we'll catch you on Wednesday. Talk a little industry. Can't wait. See you then. All right, nice job. You got any action tonight?
The Pacers. I just played some other people's stuff.
Man, I am
They're
walking
not
on that. Nah, there's a lot of time.
The Bucks are getting the shit kicked out of them. I'd like the Wizards to win.
What happened to the Buckaroonies? My God.